Hi, Matt with eTrailer. If you have a 2016 Dutchmen Kodiak and you're getting ready for that winterization period, or you just need to get some extra coverage on your trailer, then the eTrailer RV cover is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. Something to keep in mind when you are looking at these covers, you need to make sure you find the right one for you. You can actually plug in your trailer's year, make, and model to find the right one. And to find the right one, you need to get a good measurement. So we're going to measure from the very front of our trailer to the very back. So you need to make sure you're including your bumper, or if you have any accessories on that bumper, make sure you include that too. Another thing to include in your measurement is if you have anything on top of your roof, like an AC. If you do have that, just include another foot. And that's going to make us at around a little bit over 26 feet. And this is the fit we're getting right now. Now I got it a little bit snug on the front side, not too tight though, just to kind of showcase how much space we're still going to have on this. Now when you're installing this, you can probably shift this up a little bit more so you have a tighter fit. And really today with this cover, there's not too much that separates it from other types. The biggest thing is this is going to offer you a lot of bang for your buck. So it's going to be a little bit more affordable, but give you a lot of the same features as other covers. And going from there, we're going to be just talking about the main features of this cover, how it's going to fit on your trailer, and then we'll install it. You'll also notice we do have our trailer inside, and that's because it's a pretty windy day outside, and I didn't want to do that because it could be a little bit dangerous. And that's also something you need to think about if you are going to install this. Try to do it on a not so windy day, because if those strong winds are picking up, it can knock you off when you're on top of your RV. But speaking of those winds, something to think about is going to be the tightness of your cover. Right now, it's pretty tight on the front side, and I wouldn't go any tighter than this. This right here is pretty fine, but on the flip side of things, if we go over to the back side of our trailer, you're going to notice we have a lot of slack, like I was talking about earlier. You notice this is going to move a decent amount, and I honestly wouldn't go any looser than this. The reason being is if it's moving around quite a bit, it's going to have more of a likelihood of catching the strong winds and tearing something. And on the flip side, if it's a little bit tighter, what could happen on any of those tight spots like your gutters, it could actually tear right through that. And the next thing I really wanted to showcase on how this is going to interact with our Kodiak is how these panels are going to work. Now you're going to have two per side, and this one's working really nicely. I have full access to my door. Now the only downside to this is when I come up here to this panel, that's when it's all rolled up, what's going to happen is when I open up my door, it's going to make contact with there. It doesn't prevent me from using, I'll just have to lift up a bit and open it, but it is something to think about on a daily use, or if you ever need to access this full time. Now, and that's going to be partly due to these straps. These straps only cover a small area, so if that hook and loop was extended a bit, it'd probably fit a bit better. And something else to think about, this is pretty high. I can reach these two right here, but that third one further down, I actually have to get up on a ladder to reach that one. Now the thing about with these panels are the ones closest to the front and back of our vehicle. If you have any compartments like we do right here, this might be a little bit hard to access, so what you'll have to do is just loosen up these straps on the bottom so you can reach in and open this up. And the way this panel is going to operate is via this zipper here. Now we can kind of focus a little bit more on the features, and we can start with the material. So we're going to have a hook and loop on the bottom to hold this together. And you notice this material has a lot of flex to it. Now this is going to be made by a multi-layer. And what that means, especially with these little holes in it, is it's going to be very breathable and lightweight. That's important, especially for your covers, because if you're in any humid climates or you have a lot of rain or snow coming through, then what this is going to do is make sure this is more breathable so no mildew builds up underneath it. We're also going to have 3 vents on either side. This is also going to assist with that, making sure air can escape here nicely. And that's another reason why you don't want this too tight, because if your cover is too tight, the humidity or any moisture can really build up in here and not be able to escape. You're also going to have another vent on the front and back. And right next to that, we can actually see the top of the cover. You'll notice this is going to be gray, and this one's going to be a little bit different. So it's going to be made from the same material, only it's going to have a few extra layers to it. And what's nice about this is, since it is a lighter color, if sun is beating on it, that's going to be less likely to really absorb and heat up. Going to make sure this lasts longer. And since it is thicker, since you're going to have a lot of dust, pollen, or any debris falling on top of it, it's going to make sure it lasts longer to hold up to that. In my opinion, I think this is a pretty solid choice, especially compared to some other covers out there, and you're looking for something that's just going to make sure your trailer lasts longer, especially if you plan on winterizing. If I was going to compare it to another cover, I'd probably compare it to the ADCO 11 series. The reason being is because that's really for old climates, and this is going to be the same case. The only difference between these two is just going to be the design. With the one we have today, it's just going to be more of a slate gray color. It's pretty flat. With the ADCO series, you're going to have this type of striping on the side of it, and that's just a little bit more aesthetically appealing, but either way you go, they're going to protect you the same way. Now, when it comes to installation, there's not going to be too much of a difference between any of these covers. The biggest thing you got to make sure is you just clean off your trailer. And what I mean by that is if you have any dirt or grime on the side of it, wash it off, because what can happen is that dirt and grime can rub up against the cover, especially if you're on some windy days with that cover flapping, and that could scratch up your trailer. So make sure you clean up first, and then you can install this. The first step of the installation is just unrolling everything so it's laid out. The best way I find to do this is to kind of match it up with your trailer. So if we look right here, I'm going to have this flap. It's going to say front on it. I want to make sure I'm matching it up with the front side of my trailer. We also want to make sure this isn't inside out. So that this flap here, this is going to be the outside. This other side is going to be the inside. So make sure you know where that is located, because we're going to put it on our roof here pretty soon. But before we do that, we're going to roll it back up and then lift it up there. But there's going to be a few things we got to do before that too. One of those steps is just me putting on these gutter mounts. This is pretty quick and easy to do. All you have to do is put this over the very end so we don't poke anything when we're putting our cover into place. It's going to be cinched together with a hook and loop to help us hold it into place. It's not a bad idea to also check that you have all the correct straps. So we are going to have 4 of these shorter black straps. We're going to have 2 of these longer ones, and then we're going to have 3 of these gray ones. Now you also find that you do have some extra of these gutter covers. There are going to be 4 of them, so just make sure you put 1 on each corner. But once you're done with that, then we can actually start carrying this up there. Now this is a little bit lighter, so I don't mind kind of carrying it up there myself, but if it's easier for you, you could grab a friend and have them carry it up there and give it to you once you're up there. With this up here, we're going to unroll this just a tad bit. I made sure to have my front side already laid out. I'm just going to roll this past me just a little bit, and from here, we're going to try to orient things correctly. Now, the biggest thing too is just to make sure you're doing this safely. So you want to make sure you're kneeling down or trying to keep your center of gravity low so you're more stable. Another way I can tell this is going to be the right way is if we look here, this is the front, and this tag is supposed to be on the inside. So we're going to try to push this out right. And where I'm going to start with is just trying to get my passenger side set over the side just a tad bit, and then I'm going to come back up to the front and then get my driver's side. I also like to start with these gutter mounts. If you put it over the top of that, it's just a little bit easier to work with so you don't tear anything. Also, if you have anything up here that is breakable, anything like some solar panels, just make sure you watch out for that. You don't want to put any pressure on top of them and damage them. Something else that's going to help you too, when you're dropping this off one edge, don't drop it down all the way, because you want to leave a little bit of slack so you have enough room to wrap it over the other side. With one side kind of situated, we're just going to repeat that on the other side, making sure we start with that front gutter mount, just so we can make sure this is going to wrap around properly. We finally got full coverage on our roof, and we're trying to keep this as centered as possible. From here, we're just going to be adjusting the sides to make sure this is going to lay down nice and flush. We can grab those straps I was talking about earlier. We're going to grab the shorter black ones. Now we're going to grab the male end and just plug it into our female end on this gray patch here. And from here, we're just going to connect this to the other side. They have 2 locations you can connect this to. You can either go straight across to this bottom one, or you can go up. to this top one. Either one's fine. I like going for the cross ones, me personally. And when I tighten this up, I have to tighten both ends up at the same time. Just kind of gives it a better look overall. We don't want to do this too much. We just want a little bit of tension on here. Something that looks kind of like that, maybe a bit tighter. There we go. And then we're going to repeat that with the other corners, and then we're going to repeat that same process on the front side. And if you look here at this corner, we tighten this down a bit, and you can tell this is pretty tight, or it has a lot of tension right here. That's where we have a gutter mount, and we don't want it that tight, because if you have a strong wind, that's probably going to tear right through here. So we're just going to loosen that up a tad bit, so if you notice any points like that, just adjust for it. We can move over to the gray straps now. Now with these are going to go on the underbelly of your trailer. The way we're going to do this is we're going to grab this little bag that comes with your kit. It's going to be empty, but you can put something to weigh it down. You can put some rocks in it. And once you do that, you can connect it to one side. And then we're going to grab the other end of that strap and connect it to the female end of your trailer, your cover. Once that's connected, we're just going to take this end and then toss it over to the other side. And then once you have it on your side, then you can just grab this and connect it over here and tighten it up a bit. Just make sure you don't over tighten it, and then you're going to repeat that same process with other straps behind you. Once you have all three of those straps connected on the bottom side of your trailer, that will pretty much complete our look at the installation and some of the features of the eTrailer RV cover on our 2016 Dutchmen Kodiak. I'm Matt, thanks for watching.